doing some arrows. I've got 5 done right here, and I thought I might as well take a quick break and set up everything and show y'all how to do this. This is how I do it. Everybody does it a little bit differently, but this is what I've found to get the best consistency between all the arrows, and that way you have as few flyers or just duds that you have to throw out as possible. So we're gonna get started here, and I like to just put out the steps and write the weights and stuff of everything. So the first thing you want to do is lay all your equipment out, and your arrows, your inserts, your vanes. I even have a broadhead here because I use fixed broadheads just to line up the 3 fletch vanes with the broadhead. But you just want to line all that up, write the weights down, and then order it from lightest to heaviest. And then you're going to match the lightest arrow with the heaviest insert, and same thing going for the vanes. And if you come down to it and you have to, you can do the nocks as well. So we're going to start. We're going to start with our arrows already cut. That should be self-explanatory. If you don't know how to get the proper arrow length, just I don't know, YouTube it. But I'm not going to go in depth on that. We're going to start with the arrows already cut. Mine are 29 inches long, and you want to use a Q-tip with some acetone on it and get rid of all that carbon dust in here. I've already done it for all these. You just want to get rid of that so the epoxy, not this epoxy, this epoxy can get a good bond on that. So we're going to mix up this epoxy here that Easton provides you, and it's a slow cure epoxy. I think they say you have 15 minutes of working time before it starts to set up, and then you have to let it cure for 24 hours. Just make sure you mix it really good. It'll turn a milky white color. You don't need a lot of this stuff. A little bit goes a long way. So I put a little bit down the length of it, and then I put some mainly on the end here. Now I'm going to use these brass inserts on the 75 grain setting, and as you put these in there, you just slowly rotate it as well. And I think it's difficult to put too much on there because the tolerance, when you put it in, it's gonna gush out the side, and you just clean it off and then it's fine. It doesn't really, I mean, if you put a lot on there, you're just gonna waste more. So I do that, and then I take the acetone. You just want to make sure that plunger gets the insert all the way in there to where it's flush. And then I take the acetone and remove any extra glue. And you can remove the knock so that it doesn't create pressure and push your insert back out. I've never had a problem, so I don't go through that. I don't get that deep into it. So now we're gonna do this with the vanes already on there, because you're supposed to let this cure 24 hours before you tilt it or anything. So I fletched these earlier, And now we'll put the insert in it, and then we'll line up the broadhead with the vane. Push that in. Clean it off. And then we'll just line that up a little bit. All you got to do is get close, because they provide you the sander, and you just sand that down once your insert is set up and everything, and then you can fine tune the alignment with your broadhead and your vanes, just taking a little bit off at a time. So there's that one that's set. A little tip: if you end up pushing it too far after you put your broadhead in there and you don't catch the threads, just make sure you have a clothes hanger, straighten it out, and you can push it through on the back side with the knockout, and then you just restart, just push it back in with this, so you have it at the right depth. So now that we got the insert in, we'll go on to the wrap. Take a piece of paper towel, dip it in some acetone, just get it even, and then I clean off the area of the arrow shaft where the wrap is going to go. And even if the arrows are new, you'll still see some black residue, which is the carbon little particles and stuff. You'll still see them on that paper towel. So you need to do that in order to get a good adhesion with the arrow wraps. Let's see. So you need a mouse pad. Doesn't matter what college it's from. Just get your mouse pad, and then you lay the arrow wraps. I'm just using, actually these were all that I could find in a short notice. Just find a corner and peel them off carefully. And place if there's a logo, or make sure it's in the right orientation you want it. Line that arrow wrap up with the edge here, and then you want to make sure your arrow is parallel with the start of the wrap when you go and do this. You'll make sure it's parallel, and then you just push the arrow against the wrap so that it starts to stick, and then you roll it. Make sure it's on there, and you roll it all the way. There you have it. Now, if you really want to get down nitty gritty or anal, this arrow overlaps about 3/8 of an inch. I don't really care to get that anal, but if you want, you can figure out your circumference of your arrow, measure the length or width that the arrow wrap needs to be, take a razor and a straight edge and cut it, but I'm not worried that much. Alright, so once you get your wrap on, we'll set the Bitzenberger up. This one's already set up. Oh, actually no. We're going to set this one up differently. So I'm going to put 4-fletched AAE max vanes on it. So we're going to change this setting here. There we go. Super easy to set that up. Now I don't clean the wraps. I've been getting fine adhesion without cleaning the wraps. I mean, I'm stretching the vane before the wrap is even, or the fletching is even looking like it's gonna be removed there. So the wraps are already pretty clean, so I don't know. I'm not gonna. Now if you have the AE wipes, you might want to wipe them off, but I'm not gonna buy them just to do that. They're working fine without them. So you want to take the primer pen and clean or prime, whatever you want to call it, each vane. Make sure there's some fluid coming out. You want to prime each vane and then let them dry. And with using this system, the AE supplied products, I know they're more expensive, but I haven't had any problems, and I'm shooting through my targets whenever I'm setting the bow up and messing with the tuning and stuff, because I'm super close. These vanes are going straight through the target, and they're not getting pulled off or anything. I've heard some people say they've experienced problems with them, but they must not be using the right stuff. You use the Max Bond glue, the primer pen, and just follow the instructions and they'll work fine. So we got our clamp here. This is a right helical clamp. Just make sure you got the vane in there, the same spot each time. And we'll put a little line of glue. And then keep that moistened towel with acetone on it from cleaning the arrow shaft. And then any glue that squeezes out past the vanes, I'll grab with this. And this only takes a few seconds and it's bonded on. It doesn't take long. And you just rotate it 90 degrees and you do the next one. And again, you just clean any of the excess that squeezes out off and you're good to go. Once you finish fletching them, it's basically done. Just clean off any of the extra glue that you got on there and let them dry. Let everything dry for, I just let it dry for 24 hours. But what I was going to say was the next step is just to make sure your broadheads are straight and have an arrow spinner and spin the arrows. Make sure that broadheads are straight, and if they aren't, just bend them back straight. These short broadheads like the Exodus that I have here, they're stronger because they're shorter and fatter. If you have like a Rage and it's longer and skinnier, or a NAP like a Killzone or Gravedigger, they're probably not going to be super straight, and you'll have to bend them back straight. But that's that. Now if you look closely, once this arrow stops, it'll stop with the heavy end down. It'll start to wobble at the end like this, and it'll stop like right there. It stopped with that heavy blade down. Not much that you can do about that now, but whenever you're putting your wrap on or your vanes on, you can find that heavy side and put the two fletchings on the top, on the opposite side of that heavy side of the arrow. I don't think it makes much of a difference, but again, if you're wanting to go the extra step, you can do that. That's really about it. Just make sure you have the right spined arrow. You can use Easton's or whatever manufacturer that you use. Use their spine chart, and if you still are unsure, just call them up. I called Easton before I cut these and told them everything that I had, and they're very knowledgeable. People are knowledgeable. Same with if you have gold tip, Beeman, but I think Easton makes Beeman. Any arrow, whoever you have, just make sure you got the right size, and before you start and before you invest all your time and money into something like this. So, that's really it. I've got 5 arrows in the AAE Stealth Max 3 fletch. I'm going to do a few in the AAE Pro Max 4 fletch, and then a few in the AAE Pro Max 3 fletch, and then I'm going to shoot them all at 60 yards and see which one groups the best, and then that's the one I'll do. This is my first time using any arrow wraps, but I watched a YouTube video, and they just put them in boiling water, and the glue will separate, and you can just peel them off. A lot easier than taking a arrow vane defletcher, and scraping all that stuff off. So I probably will keep using arrow vanes if they work good for me. So that's it. If you have any questions, post them down in the comments below, and if you like the video and you want to see more, just hit that subscribe button, and also hit that like button. It really helps us out. Thanks for watching. Steps that I take, and how damn.